Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Nick here with Hasbro's Star Wars The Black Series Hyperreal Darth Vader. I just got this in from Amazon. Let's go over the package and let's get to the figure. Alright, so the package is not collector friendly, as in storing it is not going to be fun. Otherwise, it is nice for display purposes. You get a picture of Vader on the front. It says adult in the corner. Seamless joints, highly posable, highly detailed character likeness, metallic endoskeleton, character-inspired accessories, ultra-premium textiles. You can see Vader here clearly on the side of the window. And then when you open it up, Velcro, should have been magnets in my opinion. You get a picture of Vader this way. You see his display stand behind him. In the joint, you see a couple of poses for Vader, and here on the extra piece, you have the multiple hands that they give you, and down here at the bottom, a deflecting blaster shot effect, and a couple more poses of Vader, and that's all she wrote. So let's get that out of the way. All right, let's go over the base first and foremost. It is, let's zoom in here. There we go. All right, so the base itself is a Bespin grate. All right, so it's got 4 holes in it for you to plug a peg into. You get 3 pegs underneath, so you could do the stand. You can position him different spots with both feet and have 2 pegs in there to really make him stable. There's also a joint connector so that when you get your Luke, you can put the 2 pieces together. I know there's 1 peg missing, 1, 2, 3. I pulled out a peg just to take a look at it, but it did stick very tightly into the foot. So be mindful of that they are very tight. All right, so the base is down. Let's look at the main man. Let's get a first impression of him. First impression, he looks cool. Okay, it's Darth Vader. It looks really cool. If you had him behind glass, you'd be like, that's a really nice looking figure. All right, so let's go over his multiple hands and his lightsaber and the blast effect, and then we'll get to the figure himself. Let's see how quickly we can get this through. All right, so he comes with a fist and an open hand to hold the lightsaber in the package. So you get the opposite hand, you get the fist, all 1 solid pieces of plastic. You get the opposite hand to hold the lightsaber. Check. You get a pointing. So there we give you a Boba Fett. No disintegrations pointing finger. You get a little bit more of a all too easy hand motion, which is when he switches the carbon freezing chamber on when he thinks he's going to grab Luke. You also get the pinching, I find your lack disturbing, from the New Hope. Pinching pose. You get more of a force grip pose, and then you get the hand with the hole in the middle for the deflector piece, which plugs in here like so. Okay, and we will put one of these hands on. Now, mind you, this is a metal endoskeleton, so these plugs are very tight and take a bit of force to get on and off. So you can actually see the exposed endoskeleton under there, and you plug it in. So you can see that it's just a ball that the hand plugs into. There's no real wrist articulation. It's all in the cuff, so there's no real like bending of his wrists. It's all one molded piece. So plug that in there like that. Bring the arm up. And he's ready to deflect some blaster shots. In that one iconic scene. So there you go. And this effect reminds me of Superman. Don't know why. Fortress of Solitude, there's just these crystals. Oh, I get it. From the baby. When they put the baby in there at the very beginning of the Superman movie, you get another piece like that on top, and there you go. Anyway, let's put the other hand back in. So you can see once again, it's very tight, and it's very weird to see that, just that metal there. Okay, let's go over first what's plastic, what's fabric, and yes, what's silicone, because there's silicone on this figure. At least that's what I think it is. And then we'll go over articulation. All right, so what's plastic is the feet. Actually, the soles of the feet are plastic. The boot itself is actually rubber. This is plastic. Hands are plastic. The pieces of his chest and the belt are plastic. Head's plastic, and the shoulder armor is all plastic. Like I said, rubber feet, rubber codpiece, rubber belt, plastic head, of course, plastic, which is a big deterrent, plastic neck chain. So that, plastic neck chain, not a fan. Fabric cape, no articulation in it, so it's no wire armature, just a plastic fabric cape. Plastic tunic, or not plastic, fabric tunic, fabric cape, nothing articulated about them. Okay, so neck articulation, he's on just a ball joint, similar to what you saw on the hand. There's just one up here for his head, so that's the range of motion you're going to get. Shoulder, it's in there. Arm, get the double joint. It's not double jointed per se, but it's on this, almost like every piece is almost a ball joint where it's like almost socketed. So you can just you can bend it as much as you can get the range of motion, you can get that bend in there, which is unique and which is the positive aspect of having a metal armature underneath, is that you can get that kind of range of motion from it. I encourage everybody to look up the hyper-realistic armature. They had a display, I do believe, either at San Diego or at Star Wars Celebration. There's pictures out there where you can actually see the metal armature underneath, which would have been really cool if you could actually buy one of those to show off what is actually underneath this figure. So that'd be really cool if you could actually buy one to show. Oh, right. Ab crunch, it's in there. Waist articulation is there, but with the suit itself, it kind of snaps it back. Hips go out, go up. Knees go double jointed. So you could actually get him to kneel if you wanted to. It would be a little bit hard, but you could probably pull it off. Plug in there, and he probably would stay. So there's a lot of range of articulation with this guy, especially with that the armature underneath. All right, so and the lightsaber. Let's not forget the most important accessory, the lightsaber. Beautifully detailed, plastic. Lightsaber does come apart. There is it is cut, so you do plug it in properly for it to be in there nicely, which is very good. The lightsaber does hang off the side hook of his belt. So there you go. And ta-da. So there you go. There's Darth Vader. Kind of hard to mess this guy up. I know I was talking to a friend of mine. I was like, could they really mess him up? And they're like, yeah, they could. Did they? No. Does it look like Darth Vader? Absolutely. There's a sculpt spot on, pretty damn close. So if somebody saw this on your shelf, I think that they'd be happy. But one thing that I did skip over, and is the glaring point that I'm not a fan of, is the bodysuit underneath. This bodysuit is made of silicone, which means that after time, it's gonna wear and tear, especially depending on how much you play with this guy. You're gonna get cuts, you're gonna get breaks, you're gonna get splits. Also with dust, the silicone, even when you go to touch it, you can feel it's like this rubbery feel to it, that dirt and dust is gonna stick to this thing like a magnet. If you leave this figure out on a shelf somewhere out in the open air, he's gonna look really, really dirty and dusty fairly quickly. So I would suggest, if you plan on having this figure out in the open, or at least if you want to have him out on display, get him a display case as soon as possible. I know there's like Allied Express has them. There's some nice ones that are probably like about $30 to $50. So if you really want this figure to look nice and stay nice, get a display case. You leave them out on a shelf somewhere, after about a month's time, you're going to see it's just going to be dirty. You're going to be looking up, how do I clean this off? All right, so we went over the accessories, we went over the figure, we went over what he does and how he does it. Now, this is a new figure, as in, how do you compare this figure to something else? Because there is no scale that fits this guy. He is not a 112. He's not a 1/6. He's got a ruler. He is just shy of 9 inches tall. So I could put in another figure, but what's the point? He's not going. Everything else is going to either look gigantic next to him or dwarf next to him. Is this figure line going to succeed? Time will tell. Vader's easy to do. Vader looks like Vader. He's spot on. The sculpt is immaculate. If you can't figure out how to do a Vader sculpt now, there's a bit of a problem. He looks like Darth Vader. They probably pulled this from the numerous files that they have on Darth Vader. When Luke comes out, that'll be the real test. If Luke looks like Mark Hamill, which is a very hard thing to do for some strange reason, if that works, the line will probably keep going and succeed. If it doesn't work, you can see the line kind of faltering. This is a nice piece. If you love Star Wars, if you love Darth Vader, you're going to buy it. You probably have it on order, and you're just waiting for yours to come in. You just want to see what somebody else thinks about it. Yeah, like, I can't sell you on this because it's not something that you're really you make that decision yourself clearly, easily. Is he cool? Absolutely. Is the line going to pick up? I don't know. Are they going to make the figures in scale with each other? God, I hope so. Because if the Vader is almost 9 inches tall, Luke should be, what? 7 inches tall? Maybe 8? Around there? See, that's the weird thing. I personally think, and you guys can stop the review now if you want to, if you're done, but here comes my personal opinion. I think they screwed up. I think that they made the figure too big. I think he should have been, I looked it up before I did this review. Vader is supposedly 6.7 inches, 7 feet tall. So he's 6.7. He should have been 6.7 inches tall. And giving him all this fancy stuff. Did we need the metal armature? No. Do we need the silicone? No. Would plastic have been fine? Yes. Would maybe a cloth tunic over, like the cloth bodysuit, might have been cool. I'm afraid that the silicone is going to wear out over time and it's just going to rip. And then you're going to have a ruined Darth Vader figure. I know what you're going to say. It's like, but they have him in Black Series and they want to do something different. The problem is that this figure should have been like your end-all, be-all Darth Vader. He doesn't have any extra heads. You can't see his face underneath. They should have done like multiple different heads. They should have done the skull head. And this just screams like, hey, we gave you a Vader, but guess what? In 2 years' time, 3 years' time, we're going to give you another Vader. And we're going to give you another Vader. And we're going to give you another Vader. We're going to keep going back to, well, when these figures are supposed to be, you need a Vader, here's your Vader, that's it. So you should have been able to swap out different pieces and get different looks of Vader. This is annoying as hell. This should have been metal. This being plastic cheapens it drastically. This should not have been plastic. This should have been metal. This is a mistake on their part, and I hate that. For an $8 figure, you shouldn't have this. It looks cheap and it looks dumb. So is he worth $80? That's up to you to decide. Me personally, I don't think so. I think that they should have dropped the size. I think that the line might succeed. And I'll be picking up the Luke to compare, and we'll see how that goes. But this is supposed to be a Hyperreal adult collector piece, and it feels like they made some clear mistakes with it. And the spots that are mistakes are clear, and it's just too hard to ignore. Pick them up for yourself. You test them out, check them out, and you might be happy with them, you might not be. He's great for somebody who, say, you're at your office and you want a nice looking Vader that's a little bit more has more of a presence. Like he's not super huge like a hot toy, and he's not super tiny. He's not 6-inch like an action figure. So it does fit that little niche that's like somewhere in between really expensive and somewhere in between really cheap. So that is cool unto itself. And yeah, if you were like, oh, listen, this is exactly the level that I wanted. I didn't want to go crazy and spend $400 on a hot toy, but I also didn't want a figure that looked cheap and dumb not dumb per se, but cheap. You know, like if you put a Black Series figure next to this, Black Series figure is going to look cheap. So this kind of fits that niche in between the two. But I question the use of the metal armature, and the silicone really bugs me. I question the plastic chain on his neck. So he has lacks of articulation due to the silicone around his body. You can get some iconic poses in there, and truly, it's hard to gauge if this line is going to succeed or fail based on one figure, because it's a unique figure. It's a unique way of doing it. I think that for $80, they should have given you at least another head. They should have given you the masked head. They should have given you a little bit more. Like, give me all these hands. I would have done without the blast effect. This is an adult collector thing. Do we really need effects in it? Maybe, later down the line, they could have given me like an accessory pack where they could have given me like the blast effect and that and something else. I would have rather had a secondary head, or hell, get rid of the blast effect altogether and just give me a metal chain around that neck. Yeah, I'm going back to it because it's annoying the hell out of me. Mine was actually even hidden in the package. I was fiddling with his cape, and all of a sudden it just popped out from underneath his chest piece. And I was like, oh, look, they put a chain on here, and it's plastic. So there you go, guys. I know I got a little long-winded and opinionated towards the end, but here is your Hyperreal Darth Vader. Let me know in the comments below what you think of it. Nobody's opinion is wrong. It's your money. Buy what you want. Let me know what you think. I'm out. See you guys.